All right, what is good, ladies and gentlemen, is the Master Viewer back again with another review, and tonight I am doing a review for Ramshackle, the pilot episode. Yeah, I'm just kind of in the middle of, I kind of overestimated how long it's going to take to review all the BFDI series, and so I decided that I am going to just like kind of go back to a bit more variety and just do something while like take a break from BFDI to review something else. And so this was the just as usual nowadays with my tests and stuff. I'm reviewing a lot shorter stuff just to like get consistent content out. And anyway, that is not what we're here to discuss today. We are here to discuss Ramshackle, the pilot. So this is currently this I think is actually up until this point, this is probably the shortest thing that I've ever reviewed, which it is basically a web series, but it is only a pilot episode. And I did not really know how I want to go about reviewing pilot episodes because there's definitely some web series that I want to review that are only as of the moment pilot episodes. Other examples are like Glitch Productions, like the Gaslight District. I actually haven't seen Knights of Guinevere. I know that Gameverse also just came out. I haven't seen that, but eventually I do want, like, I still want to talk about them on the channel, even if there is just one episode, which is the pilot. And so in the case, what I think I'm going to do is for the pilot episode, I'll probably give a full review for, and then if the show ends up getting like renewed, which I'm pretty sure Ramshackle will, like Ramshackle, I'm pretty sure it was announced that it is going to get a second episode. I'm pretty sure there's actually, as of the current date, there is a trailer out for it. So I think that I'll do reviews for pilot episodes of web series, but then when it gets to like actual like episodes start airing and stuff, I will probably do shorts on the channel until like the series finishes, and then I'll do like a whole series review, I guess. So yeah, so I watched the pilot. I rewatched it. This is not a first time watch for me. This is a rewatch for me, and it's only 15 minutes. And yeah, we will just get into it, starting off with the plot. So the plot is basically, it's very short. It's basically there are these three kids, I would say, like they are pretty young, three like kid, I don't know exactly how old they are, but there are like three kids that are living on the streets of this town called Ramshackle, where basically everyone's like really greedy. Everyone is very consumed by gluttony and stuff. But then there are these three kids. They call themselves scraps, which scraps are basically a term that I guess the town uses for anyone that is poor. And so you have Vinny, Stone, and Skip. Yeah, that is the characters' names. And they are basically a trio. They live on the streets. They're pretty poor and stuff. And they end up finding this baby that they end up calling Maggot. And so the plot just becomes that they are poor. They like try to pickpocket this woman that is preparing her daughter for a pageant that is coming up. And then she's like treated, none of the parents are portrayed to like really be great. They are all portrayed as like being very shallow about how very much like, oh, I want my child to win the pageant. I don't view them as like a child. I view them as an accessory to show off to others, to prove that I am better than them, basically. So anyway, Skip, Vinny, and Stone, they end up like registering Maggot for the pageant because I think I just watched this, but I guess I already forgot. But I think Maggot showed interest in maybe wanting to be part of the pageant, and so they ended up registering Maggot for the pageant, and so Maggot ends up winning the pageant, and all like the adults and stuff, they get really upset because they end up finding out that a trio of scraps basically ended up winning. Well, not a trio, I guess a quartet of scraps ended up winning the pageant, and scraps, I guess, were not allowed to enter the pageant, and so this leads to a fight between the trio and the rest of the adults there. And so there's like a small action sequence with Skip trying to get Maggot to safety, and when they get backed into a corner, then the Maggot ends up revealing that he is actually a biblically accurate angel that just arrives, and yeah, he basically was like, oh, I came to, I don't know if it's a he, but I'm going to call it a he just for the sake of convenience, or I'll say they, I guess. They ended up, they basically say like I came to Ramshackle in order to view the nature of the people that live here in this town, and I see that like even though these three are flawed, it's like they're still good people at heart, but the rest of the town is like terrible, very consumed by greed, and wears their gluttony as like a symbol of pride or something like that, like very bad people and stuff. So he ends up casting divine judgment on everyone, and so everyone gets defeated, and I guess it ends with basically, well, I mean, before that happens, like they say their goodbyes and stuff, the trio to Maggot, and then basically that's where it ends. And I guess now they were gifted by a divine being a can of beans and like 3 cents. So really, yeah, I feel like maybe could have given them a bit more than that. But anyway, So yeah, that's where the pilot ends. Basically, the final shot is I think they're all like sitting around a fire cooking the beans, and that's it. Basically, I know that this is a web series, like it's an actual webtoon. So I'll wait until probably just the episodes keep releasing. Hopefully, like there will be more after episode 2, and it won't just be like episode 2, and then I'll have it like I think the pilot released 2 years ago. I think 3 months ago they released the trailer for episode 2. So hopefully it's not going to be like a yearly or a bi-yearly basis where the episodes release. Like hopefully it'll get to be a bit more consistent at some point. Maybe though, if it's not consistent enough, I might just read the webtoon. But yeah, anyway, the plot, I'm going to give the plot probably I'll go 3 to 5. It was fine. It's not like very, I don't know, for a pilot, I guess it didn't like I'm interested, yeah, definitely to see more of this world and stuff and like what this trio gets up to, but it's not like just a pageant and like a bit of pickpocketing, introducing the characters, I guess, and like a small pageant that leads to a fight. It's not the most, it's fine, I would say, all right, 3 to 5, but nothing more than that, I'm going to say. In terms of the characters, there's only there's like 4 characters basically, besides like all the nameless adults. There is Stone, Skip, Vinny, and Maggot, although like revealed to be a biblically accurate angel, ends up leaving, so I don't know if they are going to return. But I like the main trio. I do think that the main trio, they seem like pretty appealing, I would say, as a cast of characters. I would give them probably, I'll go a 7 to a 7.5. I'm thinking between pretty good and very good, and I'll say very good, honestly, 7.5. I do think that, yeah, you have like Skip, which is like the more optimistic one. You have Vinny and Stone, they are the more, I guess, not pessimistic, but like a lot more, I think they swear more often, I would say. And I think Stone is like the more depressed kind of one, while Vinny is the leader of the group, I would say. And I would say that they're very good characters, and I am interested in seeing more of them, I would say. In terms of the settings are the town of Ramshackle, which it is, I guess, portrayed to be pretty ramshackle, meaning like a building or a property that is very much deteriorating and is on the verge of like collapsing and stuff. So I guess it did come across, I do like the whole style. It does feel very like 1950s, 1940s. I don't know exactly what year, but it definitely feels like kind of a bit old-fashioned town, very much consumed by, I guess, like it feels like kind of like broken down, but at the same time, like very much. It feels like there's a class divide, I'll say, like with the setting, where it does feel like, yeah, there's rich people around, but then it's definitely a town that does not get like the care that it needs in order to sustain like the people that live there, I would say. So in terms of the settings, I'm just going to go a 6 out of 10. I'm going to give it above average because I do think that I would need to see more of it to really like appreciate it more. But for now, I'm just going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's above average, but I do, again, I need to see more of it to rate it higher, I would say. In terms of the visuals, I really like the art style. In terms of indie animation, I would say that this is definitely a step up from like BFDI. Definitely, this is like at this point, this is more modern web series. It is 2D animation, which it does look nice. And I think it's in a pretty appealing art style. I would give the art style probably like the visuals in general, I would probably go a 7.5 to an 8, I would say, between very good and great. And I'm going to be harsh with it. I would want to see more of it. But for now, I'm just going to give it a 7.5. I think it is a very good art style, and the visuals, like the action sequence, I thought was pretty good. The movement of the characters, it also feels pretty good, I would say. And so overall, I would say very good visuals. In terms of the worst thing, I guess is, I don't know, just the fact that like we barely saw anything really happen yet. So, but I guess that's the nature of it being a pilot. I'll just read the worst score, I guess, which I could say the settings, or I could say the plot, which I gave it 3 to 5, which would double to a 6 out of 10. I'm going to probably I'll just go both. I'll say a 6 out of 10 for the plot if you double the score of that, or the settings if you just keep the score as it is. So yeah, I'll just reuse the low score for those. It's like a good plot and a good setting, but I need to see more. Like this is like just a pilot, so it's meant to kind of like get you interested, and then hopefully like in episodes in the future. Like it's not as good of a pilot as something like The Amazing Digital Circus. It's also like only 15 minutes long. The Amazing Digital Circus, I think it had more time to work with, 20. Like that felt like a pilot where it's like it really got me interested in like what's going on here. It's like, okay, I want to see like what happens, I guess, but there's no, I don't know, there's no like mystery aspect. They haven't, like even something like Murder Drones, it's like the pilot of that kind of sets it up where it's like, okay, I want to see like what's happening next. But this is just like, I don't know, this feels like a filler episode of just something that happened in Ramshackle, whereas like the other pilots I had mentioned, like Murder Drones and The Amazing Digital Circus, it's like the first episode kind of like sets up, it's like, okay, this is where like we know what the rest of the series is going to be about, kind of, where this it's not exactly like giving us information on like what the series is going to be about moving forward, and it's not like setting up a plot exactly. So I'm just going to, yeah, so 6 out of 10 I would say for the setting, and but more so for the plot, I would say probably. So yep. In terms of the best thing I will reuse. Again, the best scores, which I said is the visuals and the characters, so 7.5 for both of those, because yeah, the characters, I would say the main trio I do like, and the visuals do look pretty appealing, I would say, so 7.5 for those two aspects. And yeah, that is all the scores, so I'm going to do the calculations, so King Crimson. All right, so it ends up coming out to exactly a 6.75, which would be between a 6.5 and a 7, which would be between good and pretty good. And I think I'm thinking on whether or not to be harsh or generous. And I think I'm just going to leave it as it is. I'm going to not give a concrete score. I'm just going to call it between a 6.5 to a 7. I would say it's between good and pretty good, and I am interested in seeing more of what happens. So I will be watching in general, I'm a sucker for the sunk cost fallacy, so I definitely would, just anytime like I start watching something, I will watch it through to the end. But yeah, I would say I'm interested in seeing more of what happens, definitely. But for now, I'm just going to call it between good and pretty good, so a 6.5 to a 7. Not going to give a concrete score. If I let it marinate a bit longer, it will probably get more. I'd probably be able to give it more definitive score, but for now, I'm just going to call it between a 6.5 to a 7. So yeah, that is pretty much all there is to it. So if you have any recommendations, any shows, movies, video game stories, anime, manga, web series, anything that you want me to review, leave it in the comments and I will maybe possibly check it out. With that said, that is pretty much all there is to it. So let's leave it at that.